approve the agenda? If there's a motion for that,
So moved.
and seconded by?
Second,
Very good.
second.
Thank you. And a motion to approve the previous meeting's minutes,
Motion
I
to
will ma-
approve.
Seconded.
and seconded by Mr. Davison. So, we'll, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, very good. Those motions both carried unanimously. Connie, you're on mute in case you want us to hear you or don't. We actually
We're
do.
getting music background. I don't know if
Oh, I'm
somebody has a
sorry. Let me
radio
turn
on.
that off.
Well, I could take my dancing shoes off now.
My husband leaves that on for the cats.
Ah,
So when I come home, there's always music going. Sorry about that.
the one thing that I noticed after going over all the minutes and the bylaws and everything, we have not actually appointed a secretary to the Board of Elections. And Mr. Lasco, can that be appointed by the chair, or does that have to be nominated on?
I think you can set your own rules on this. You probably, the most democratic way would be to put it to a vote, ask for any volunteers to serve, and then put it to a vote of the board.
Okay.
What does the secretary do?
Well, in this case, not a heck of a lot, because
No.
Kathy is actually preparing the minutes. That's typically the secretary's role.
Yes.
So it doesn't have a major role in this case, more of a title than anything else.
Yeah, it doesn't have a major, as far as I could see, her name can be used to respectfully submit the minutes from the previous board meetings. So you get to have a fancy signature for that, I guess, if nothing else. But since, do we actually have to have a secretary for this board?
Again, you can make your own rules for the
Okay.
board. So I don't think it's essential. If
No,
you
it's
want
not.
that, that's the board's call.
If there are any of you that would like to be known as the secretary of the Board of Elections,
I don't care. If you need it, I'm happy to say that I'll do it.
I got a lot of stuff for you, Susan. So
Okay.
I was going to suggest that I make a motion that we not have a secretary.
Second.
well, there we go.
Second, third.
Then all in favor say aye.
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 All right. The motion to not have a secretary of Board of Elections was carried unanimously, and we can take this up in another meeting prior to another election, whether that's required. Let's see. So far, are we on track to start this meeting in earnest now, Mr. Lasco?
We are indeed.
Okay. Then the only thing I really had tonight that I really wanted to make sure that we were all on the same page with is who was going to do what and what have they done so far? Because I think Joe and
Susan.
was it you or Bob that were going to, oh yeah, Joe and Susan were going to work on the poll,
Yeah.
the poll
Yeah.
work.
Yes.
Now I did, there is a little bit of confusion in the titles for these. When I was up at the Board of Elections last week, and the poll workers are known as election officers. We are known as either the people in charge or the Board of Elections. So if any of us are confronted to speak to an officer, that will not be us. if anybody is confronted to speak to one of the people in charge, then that goes downhill. If I'm not there, I will be there, but that will be us. There is a, did everybody get this updated Board of Elections manual for our current elections?
Yes.
Very
Yeah.
good. Very good. And did everybody get a laminated notice of election?
I don't
Not
think
unless
I
it's
did.
sitting outside my door.
Yeah, not unless somebody hid it from me.
Okay.
Since you said you
yep.
might make some changes, I didn't give one of those to everybody.
Oh, okay. Darn, that failed my, what I was trying to do. But anyway, if you have, actually, the actual notice of election, I believe, is in your updated manual.
We do have that.
Okay. And it concerns absentee ballots. It's not the page I was looking for. The one thing I wanted to discuss, especially with the board and Mr. Lasco, is Mr. Davidson had brought up the fact that if somebody comes to the polling place without a mask and refuses to wear one, are we denying his rights to vote if he refuses? And do we have to let him vote if he refuses? And I've done a little bit of research, and it comes to the point where if one, I don't think we even have to mention it on the notice of election, but if we did, that would probably more hammer home the point more that we have specified our requirements for mask wearing in the polling place. So I wanted to ask all of you whether you think that should be added to the notice of election.
I do, because I don't know whether it's a good time to mention it now, but in talking to people, first of all, the concerned one person doesn't want to be a poll worker unless she's been vaccinated by then. And so that being the case, I would imagine that she wouldn't feel comfortable around anybody, even vaccinated, who isn't masked. I don't know. And then the next concern was, what is the date of training? Because some people work and need to be able to schedule that.
Well, that's exactly the point I was coming up to. The training
Oh, my
schedule.
goodness.
Oh, yeah. All right. We got the screen was shared. We can get this somewhere on there. I was inquiring whether we should mention somewhere in the notice of elections that masks will be required to be
Right.
worn in the polling place. Do we have to go that far to make sure that anybody who decides to dig their heels in and not wear one can?
I think it's
Can I
necessary.
chime in? I'm sorry, excuse me. If I may chime in a bit, I did look into this a little bit myself. First of all, your suggestion about adding it to the notice of election, I certainly have no trouble with that. And I think at the door, we should have posted that masks are required. That's
Yeah.
still part of the governor's mandate. But the real $1 million question is, can we deny somebody access who's not wearing a mask? And that's a much touchier situation, because you're denying them now a constitutional right to vote. So you're weighing out the governor's order of mask wearing with the constitutional right to vote. I think if you really ran into that kind of a discourteous person who insists upon voting, probably the best you can do is stand far back, let him do his voting, let him leave the polling place, do your disinfecting and move on. And hopefully we won't have any episodes like that.
Should we have a box of surgical masks? I mean, we have a box that I could bring from home.
That was
for-
suggested last meeting, and I think that's an excellent idea as well.
Yeah,
I just wanted to get the issue, where you've come out is exactly where I thought it probably would fall out. I just wanted to get it out on the table so we knew exactly what steps we were going to take if that situation presented itself to us.
And adding to that, Joe, my, by trying to add this to the notice of election, some of the wording might be, if you cannot or will not wear a mask, please vote by absentee ballot instead of in person, which is certainly, that's within their rights now. That's within the rights of everybody in the district or in the city of Newcastle to vote. So I don't, to your point, Dan, I don't think we are, if we do this right and we do it far enough in advance, if somebody does come to the polling place and is actually digging their heels in saying, you're denying my rights, you can refer them to, did you read the notice of elections? And how do you know there was an election if you didn't read the notice? And did you not notice that we require mask wearing, or you have to vote by absentee ballot? So I don't know. It's a slippery slope. I don't know how, you know, for the safety of the polling workers, I feel that, one, I feel like it might not even come up, and I hope it doesn't. But if it does, I feel like the polling workers have as much right not to have somebody like that come in the polling place as the person that feels like they have the right to vote has to come in. So they kind of, you know, I don't know. I don't know where Justice Roberts would stand on this.
So if can we actually, it seems like we can't, but can we have absentee ballots since they're able to present them the
Yeah,
day
that
of the
is-
election?
No, that's actually pretty well stated that the absentee
I know,
have to be
yeah.
received by like 6 the Friday before the election. I think it's
Right.
whenever
Five.
the office actually closes, 5 o'clock.
4:30.
4:30.
Oh, to be turned in.
So
Friday,
based on-
4:30.
based on that, we can't really rewrite those rules.
Right.
Right.
But we can rewrite the notice and whatever we put in the weekly, and whatever we put around town. So
I do have one other thought on this. I think we have 3 voting machines, correct?
Uh-huh.
yes, we are. Yeah, we're working on 3 voting machines.
One thing you might want to do, and I don't know, this is probably pretty extreme, but you could have one of those voting machines located in an isolated spot of the polling place. So that if you really got that incorrigible type who just refuses to wear the mask tendered, and we politely try to coax them into putting one on of the spares we bring, we can at least have everybody stand far away, let them vote at the isolated spot, and then do our disinfecting. Just a thought.
Yeah.
Nice picture now.
Yeah, I mean, that would be it. I like the idea. That could probably work, especially if the low turnout that I expect anyway is in play, then handling
Hello,
most of the voters with 2 machines might not be that hard to do.
can anyone hear me?
What is
Yes.
it?
Yes.
Yes, I finally got through. I've been watching you guys do this meeting, but I could not get my self through for some reason, but now you can hear me, so I can participate.
All right, very good, Bob.
Yeah, I've been listening to you, though.
Now that you're with us, Bob, can I ask you, have you been in touch with either Marion or Bob Thatcher?
I texted Bob Thatcher this morning, but I'm sure I can get a hold of him tomorrow. I didn't call him, but I mean, we deal with each other anyway, so I'll try to call him. Actually, I can try to call him tonight even.
No, it's not that important. I mean, the only thing that I've noticed from looking over previous elections was that our voting machines were actually delivered the Friday before. And I'm sure Bob is aware of that. But one of us probably needs to be there to help out if needed. And Bob too, to close the place up, unless they are going to entrust us with keys to their facility until after the election. The other thing was, what was the other thing? Oh, now that we're all here, election machine trading, you know, the training that the Department of Elections has for the machines and actually for the election process. Is there a consensus we can come to so that I can reach out to our person or contact the Department of Elections, or even Drew, who is at the warehouse that does a lot of the work with this? The election is April 10th, so it's been kind of prior practice that we don't go to this training 3 or 4 weeks prior. Mostly, we would go to the training the week coming up to the election. So somewhere between, just say, the 1st of April and the 10th of April. For any of us that want to be included in that, it still seems like the Board of Elections is not mandated to go, except for the people that have to certify the machines. But it's certainly helpful. You do get these election officer manuals that show you what you are supposed to be doing when you're working at a poll list, and the checklist to actually conduct an election, which actually I've referred to them quite a bit over the last few days to see how much is really involved, because it's been 2 years since we've done this. So if one, we have to know how many poll workers we have lined up, because we have to let them know when.
So the training date is a question.
The training is actually based upon, we have to know, because that is actually mandatory for the poll workers, the
Right.
election officers, to go to this training. I think they might be able to do more than one, but I believe in the previous election, we all went at one time.
Yes.
So so we need to know when our poll workers are available before because we have a little bit of time. Once we know the number of poll workers, who they are, how to get in contact with them, we can reach out to the Board of Elections and say, this is the best date for all our poll workers and Board of Election members.
So far, I
plan to attend.
I contacted 5, or was attempting to contact 5, and 4 of them indicated, yes, they were willing to serve again. And I had one person indicate that if we needed more poll workers, to let her know, because I think she had somebody in mind.
Okay.
So the 5th person, I've left 2 messages. I actually walked down to the gallery. I can't come up with them.
Okay. So we're halfway there.
So I have one who's willing, but he needs to know the training date. So I'll ask when he's free, because he's a part-time worker, and he said that's going to make the difference.
Okay.
I'm still working, but I'm certainly my schedule at work can be worked around. That's not a problem.
Okay.
But I need to let my office know when I'm going to be doing it. So that's just that.
All right. The Office of Elections is fairly flexible. They will hold late afternoon training if it's helpful to anybody that's willing to participate in working at the election.
And what are we talking? Maybe an hour, or?
I believe it was an hour at the most.
It was around an hour, and it was over near the post office. It's opposite that big post office. It's opposite the the farmer's market. So it's fairly close to town.
It's close to town. It's Lisa Drive. You actually have to be on 13 heading north to get to it.
Right.
Okay.
From the 1340 split.
I was going to suggest that we kind of pick a date or two. I think if we make this too wide open, we'll never achieve consensus. So I'm thinking we should look at maybe Tuesday, the 6th or Wednesday, the 7th, and see what works for people. I'm afraid if we give too many choices, we'll have 2 want the 6th and 4 want the 7th and 3 will want the 8th, or something like that.
I think that's a good idea. And
You
it's
know
also
what?
close enough to the election for people not to forget.
You know
Right.
what? That's a good thing to be able to tell them when you contact people that work, that, if you want to do this, you have to be available for this date. And then if they can't, then you can
Right.
look for other people. So I like that idea. Tuesday, the 6th. Tuesday, the 6th works. Well, that works for me. That doesn't really matter if it works for me, but, oh, yes, it does matter if it works for me. So, yeah, Tuesday, the 6th, yeah. I'll make that work. I can do that. And if any of the other board members can participate.
Yes, I can do that.
I can do that.
Hey, Rick,
Yes, sir.
Rick. Yeah, can we set the time and date, or does the election people have to give us a date and time?
No, actually, what I've found out is if you reach out to them, especially early enough now, and say, can we set something up for Tuesday, the 6th? They have been pretty accommodating from previous history. So if we do this, if we come to some agreement tonight, one of us can I can certainly do it. Reach out to the Board of Elections and ask that.
And,
Yeah.
and I would suggest, if possible, that we try to make it as late as possible so that if somebody is working, they can go and just leave work early and do
Yeah.
that without having to go back.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I know. The Board of Elections.
I don't know how late they do it, but
They do late afternoon now.
I
Whether
wouldn't do later than 4 o'clock.
late is 5, I don't know. What's that, Joe?
I was gonna say, I would not do later than 4 o'clock. I don't think. it's-
And actually, I don't believe the Board of Elections would either. I
Right.
think like it's
I-
in there by then.
I think we should try to request the 6th at 4
Okay,
and see where we are.
that will make it probably more flexible for any poll workers that we are.
Right, definitely.
That's
For me,
pretty-
that would be perfect.
Okay,
Hey,
then
sounds good to me.
I'm good with proceeding with that part of it. I will reach out to Anne Marie and see if she can set up a schedule for poll training for April 6th.
But, so
Yep.
Susan, it
Six.
Yes.
sounded like that you only had one person so far?
Well, so one person said he's definitely on board for it, but he needed to know when the training was to see if it would work with his schedule. Another person said that she would not do it unless she's vaccinated. And
Okay.
at this late date, if she doesn't get the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, she's not available.
Yeah.
So we're down one, but I have put and then there are 3 that I haven't heard back from, but admittedly, I got in touch with them late. And so I
Okay.
haven't bugged them.
Okay,
I got a couple of missed calls and I haven't matched them up to see if there were actually somebody calling me back. Because I have an odd phone number. It's a 917 number. And I'm sure that they've looked at their phone and said, I'm not even going to answer. I'm not even going to look at that message.
right.
But I have a line on a couple of other people and we'll see. By the end of the week, I should know who we have of the people who are already there and whether I have some other people lined up.
Okay, all right.
Okay, I will reach out tomorrow to the Board of Elections to see how late they will actually hold training.
Admit someone,
I'm sorry.
allow somebody to become a poll worker.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
that's what I'm going to make sure that we can have training that late on that day before we.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I can reach out to you all by text, email, or whatever. Just well, actually, just you and Joe, right?
Right.
Yeah,
can reach out to, once I find that information out, I can let you know that.
yeah, just email us, let us know,
I
'cause
will.
that,
I'll do
then we
that.
can give them the whole picture of what their commitment is.
Okay,
Hey, Rick,
yes.
put me on that email, Rick.
I'm sorry?
Oh, you can put me on that email. I would like to go.
Oh, to the training.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, good, very good. Because I think for you, Bob, you and I probably have to be there that Friday afternoon that I expect that they will deliver the voting machines. And then we'll have to figure out between now and then whether we will separate one for well, that's what we'll do. At this training, we'll find out how mobile they are. And if somebody wants to not wear a mask, maybe we can unplug that machine, push it over in the corner, let that guy or girl come in and vote from there, wipe it down, put it back where it was before. Maybe we can do something like that, Dan. I don't know.
Yeah.
If it comes to. So if we don't want to change the notice of elections to say that, actually, you know what, we all, putting that wording in there, I think is actually a good idea. Maybe it will keep that person from actually showing up and forcing the issue. If somewhere at the bottom of the notice of election, so it doesn't have to be all reconfigured, we just say masks are required in the polling location. And it can fit right on the border of the bottom.
At this point, I can't imagine anybody wouldn't think that any place they go publicly that they wouldn't be required to wear a mask, but you're right.
You wouldn't think. You
You
wouldn't
wouldn't
think.
think, but
But
yeah.
there's always gonna
better to be safe than not prepared.
Well, Joe brought up a good point. There could be that one, and then the next thing you know, then we get sued for that, or that goes to court, or whether this whole election was valid because we didn't do that. And I don't want to be part of something like that.
Are we gonna have masks at the door for people who forgot their mask?
Yes, that has already been priorly determined that.
I can bring them along with the food.
Well,
It'll
actually,
just be-
Excuse me, the city has a lot of masks that we can
yeah.
Oh, okay.
give
Yeah, the
you
city was
several
gonna-
boxes.
So once I have clarification on when we can actually, if that meeting date is available for the training at the Board of Elections warehouse, I will contact Susan and Joe to let them know to go ahead and relay that information to the poll workers they're trying to secure.
And Bob,
Well, and Bob. Well, we actually take a back seat to this because the priority is to have the poll workers, because it's absolutely mandatory. The rest of us have to go when the poll workers are scheduled to go. Unless I can get another date. They occasionally run concurrent elections and do have separate other training things that we can attend. Middletown had one, I think about 6 weeks ago, that if we'd known that, we probably could have jumped in and went to that and been ahead of the game. If you don't go, I mean, if you do go, even though you're not a election officer, you will get a updated election officer manual and checklist, which is good to have which is good for us in case anything comes up that the election officers struggle with or can't handle. That falls back on us to take care of that. What else was there?
Is there a concern that we won't get sufficient number of election officials? Sounds like we've only got about 4 or 5 lined up right now.
Are you talking? I think we'll be able to get them. We've got a month.
Yeah, we got a month.
It's not a big commitment.
Okay.
Yeah.
The people I talked to, the four I talked to all seemed anxious to do it again. So, I mean, I said, I
Well,
got.
Yeah,
three
and-
people.
And the people, some of the people that I've spoken to that are not, haven't done it before, I've reminded them that this is an easy way to do something for their town. And they've said, you're right, I don't do anything, so.
well, and the other thing that might encourage them is they actually get paid to do it. You know, they get $165 courtesy of the city of Newcastle for parking at the senior center from 7 to 12 hours is probably about the amount of their commitment. The other thing that I was trying to narrow down was the absentee ballots. We'd kind of already talked about it a little bit. You cannot supply them at the polling place.
Right,
They cannot actually be counted prior to the election. If you don't count them at the polling place, you actually have to have another public meeting to count them in person. So we will, if it all right with the rest of the board, I suggest that we just go ahead and count them at the polling place.
Yeah.
That is not actually our job. We do have to kind of oversee it. Just to make sure they're valid, that the person, the one good thing is our absentee ballot clerk is with us, and she has to validate their affidavits to make sure that they are actually able to vote in the city of Newcastle. So that's one less thing that we have to worry about when we do come to the point to count those ballots. So, but
Section in this book tells you exactly when you have to do it and exactly what you have to do.
yes, well, it does. And I read that, and that's why I brought that point up, Connie. You can count those ballots after the election or before. No, you can't count them before. You can actually count those ballots after the election, but you have to post a meeting. The Board of Elections has to post a meeting to do that if they're not counted at the polling place when the election prior to the election being closed. So, and that's exactly what we did 2 years ago. So I feel we'll probably stay on the same course.
Now, I brought that up before, I guess our first meeting, that, after the polling, some people were counting the absentee ballots. And like you said, we were supposed to be overseeing it. But there was a couple ladies that I had to go oversee, and they were lost. I mean, a lot, and it was kind of really shaky.
Well,
So
Well,
can we get people we want?
No, we actually have to use well, yeah, we can assign the election officers as we see fit, I do believe, or as they are willing to serve. The absentee ballot process shouldn't be all that complicated, because like I just mentioned, they're kind of pre-vetted, that we don't have to go through. And this is the big part for you, Bob, coming up. Those absentee ballots are already secured to be allowed to vote in the city of Newcastle. I do have the new voter registration list, and it's I have it on a jump drive. So now, and if I'm correct, Bob, you thought you would help with the voter registration list for their this election.
Yes.
It's massive. It's every 19720 parcel in the district, in the county rather.
I'll make that a no then.
I'm sorry.
I said, make that a no then.
There are, I have it on a jump drive. It's on Excel. And this is kind of a new territory, because I don't believe we've done this before, where we've actually had a laptop that can actually probably sort through voter information to say they are actually a Newcastle City resident instead of Newcastle 197, street addresses and such that would either allow them or negate them from voting in the election. That could be a little tedious, and I'm trying to figure out. I believe Marion has done it with paperless prior to that. This is a jump drive, so if we need to go with a paper solution, then I have to get it printed out so that it'll be available to the poll workers. If we have like laptops available that have Excel on them for the poll workers to use, that's another thing that option might be available at the training from the Board of Elections. And then how this information is secured and all that kind of stuff, because I'm sure that people that live in the district don't want anybody to know that where they live and what their party affiliation is and how they voted the last election and all that stuff. This is all information that's on this this file. It doesn't have to be as thorough, but it has to be kind of whittled down. So it's just a matter of how we try to manipulate it to make it work efficiently, because the last thing I want to see is someone coming to vote and it takes 15 minutes for us to figure out whether she can or not. And Marion's been handling that part of it. Marion actually handled a lot of that in the prior election, even though that seems to fall under the onus of the people that work for the polls, the election officers. So probably at some point, we better have this figured out before the training. But at some point, we'll have to come to a decision whether we're going to try to get this printed out for the poll workers to use and how to sort through it so that it's accurate, so that if somebody comes and tries to vote that can't, it's easy to identify, and people that can aren't accidentally turned away. So.
Well, we definitely have to have a proper list, and we should probably have it broken down by A through F, for example, for one poll worker. And then like when you go in for a national election, you go to your, the beginning letter of your last name, and then you go to that particular one.
This street is actually sorted out this list is actually sorted out by street because it's broken down. It's kind of, it's broken down by street because of how the county works to figure out what part of the city or the county that they live in. And Kim had told me that there are parcel code numbers that identify the people that live within the incorporated city limits, that they all start with the same number, 210. But I'm trying to figure out if there's an easier way of going through this list, because I'm thinking there's about 40,000 people on this list without having to cross off 35,000 names, because we only want the 5,000 or 6 that start with this parcel code. And I'm sure there's, I don't know, I don't have Excel, and I don't think my little Chromebook here would handle that amount of data. So if anybody,
Mr. Chair, I got a suggestion. Kathy Walls at the city obviously has to process all the real estate tax bills to all those 2-1 parcels of the city of Newcastle parcels. She may have a list of her own that will give all those addresses that we could distill out of that larger list that you have.
oh geez,
Diane, maybe you could.
that's
text
almost
her.
like a voter registration list right
But
there.
you don't know if they're registered to vote.
Right.
I won't know if they're registered to vote. What I'm just saying, these are the parcels that exist in the city. And if you have the registered voter list, you can cross-reference them that way and strike off the ones that don't apply. They're in the county, in other words.
That's an excellent, well, that could be more efficient than what we've done before. I'm not sure how much time Marion Cavan has spent on paring down the list to the ones that are actually pertinent to the city of Newcastle to vote in these elections, but I would think that Marion probably would have come to that. That might have been what she was doing anyway. She might have been using that information. Because she's no dummy. I mean, she knows she knows the city as well as anybody and knows all the I would think all the stuff that's
I would imagine before speculating, we should just ask her how she did it.
Yes,
Do you
Yeah.
want me to get in touch with her and ask her that?
absolutely. If you're willing to do that, I'd appreciate that.
I will call her and say, how did you come up with a list of people who vote?
All right,
So
well,
I'll-
do this. I mentioned that we do have an electronic list now, and
Okay,
and I think we'll find out at the Board of Elections training, that is the list that they're probably going to train us on, not a paper list. They had a couple different terminologies for it. They changed the name from the poll book to the poll list, or the poll list to the poll book, or something like that.
I would think it would just be the list of eligible voters.
Yeah.
City of
Well,
Newcastle.
And I don't know for sure, is there might be an electronic equivalent to whatever we did on paper available.
I'll start by asking Marianne how she did it, and then we'll see what we can come up with, because that would be a disaster if somebody showed up and wanted to vote and their name wasn't on the list
Yeah,
because we hadn't done it right.
right.
That's essential.
I agree.
Okay, I will call her tonight and start a conversation with her about that at least.
Okay, and
Could
Like
I
I said,
have a list and I will look at it and see what it entails? I can put it on my computer and look at it and see what it entails, and then I can figure it out.
okay, well, I have the jump drive, and all I need is kind of like permission from the city to share that with I don't know. I guess if the voter.
All the people
It's a
that are
part of
running the
elections
election
shared
get a
with us.
copy of the election, the voters registration.
I would think that's public
That's public domain,
information.
right?
Oh,
Yeah, I'm just curious, or cautioned to make sure that what I have is public domain, and we don't.
well, how are we gonna look at it if we're not allowed to look at it? If you're the only person that's allowed to look at it, how is
Well,
anybody else gonna help you?
Yeah, that's a good point. Why would they give it to us if I can't see it, right?
Right, and if we can't see it, how are we gonna know who is registered to vote?
Okay. Well,
All right, I'll talk to Marianne and then I'll send an email out once we've had a conversation.
okay, very good. And Bob, if we email this list to you, you'll be able to help out with it too in some way or another?
Oh, yes, yeah.
All right.
Adrian,
Depending on what Susan finds out from Marion, how she was able to aggregate the list to just the city of Newcastle, if there was some secret to that, or whether the training affords some ability to do that. I'll when I talk to the people at the Board of Elections, I'll find out if that's something they can do as well. It didn't sound like it though. When we signed the agreement to do the elections with them, or for them to process the election, they supplied, their agreement was to supply a voter registration list, which would not just incorporate the city of Newcastle solely. So I don't think they have the ability to pare that list down into just our voter districts. Obviously, you don't, because we've done this in previous elections. But the county, from what I've recall, might be able to help. And like you said, Connie, you've got information concerning that too. So we have a whole month, so we're not really.
That's gonna fly by.
Yeah, it is. But at least tonight, our feet aren't over the fire tonight, so
Right.
we should be in we should at least be comfortable until the fact that we know we want to have at least 10 poll workers available to go to training on April 6th.
Right.
Or we can confirm what date. I don't, they're pretty accommodating from my meeting with them. They usually, unless they have another election that they've committed to for this training, they're pretty good at taking care of the people that they train. So I will reach out to Anne Marie and find out if she can touch base with Drew or give me the number to contact him directly, because it's Drew and another woman that take care of election training. So that information I'll have this week, and I'll be able to pass that along to you and Joe.
Good.
All right.
Okay.
What else do we have? Anything from any of the other members of the board?
Do we have an email from Phil Gross to look at that was forwarded?
I didn't receive any. I saw Phil Gross putting his signs up already today, but I have not seen anything from him.
Well, there was an email that Kim forwarded from him, and it was about the handling of absentee ballots.
I did not receive that. If that was, no.
It was a part of the email where she sent all those attachments, like the agenda, the minutes.
Give me a moment. I'm going to try and bring it up for you.
Okay.
And-
Thank you.
They're going to send the agenda. I got that. I got the agenda, the candidate list.
I didn't get the agenda.
Okay, this is the letter that he sent last time, but it came in too late.
Yeah, I haven't seen that before. I haven't seen that yet, but that's here nor there. The absentee ballot issue hasn't really changed, except that it's more liberal. I mean, more widespread, that you don't have to qualify under certain specifications to be able to get one. So, and maybe that's his issue. I don't know.
Well, I think the absentee ballots have to be taken out. I think the absentee ballot clerk is going to have to take them out to vet them. I mean, she may put them back in, but he says that no ballot should leave the locked box until they're brought to the polling place.
Excuse me, the process is that they're put in the ballot box after they're voted, and each day they have to be time stamped
Okay,
or when they came in. Then they're locked in our fireproof cabinet until election day.
okay. So you vet them
Yeah.
first before putting them in.
Right, I have to check off what ballots get returned with the number on the envelope. So I have to take them out of the ballot box to look at them. And they are sealed. There's no way to, they're sealed in those envelopes.
Right. Okay.
All right. Well, I don't see where he has an issue yet, unless he brings something else up. Well, looking at his question, he said, who will transport them to? Well, that's you, Diane. Am I
Yes, it
correct?
is.
All right. Has anybody responded to him, or is? Let's see here. Who did he copy on that? Because I can't see that part of the email.
Kathy Welsh.
So I was copied on this, and I don't remember getting it, but it may very well be because I didn't see
I didn't
his
get it.
particular name, but I'll look for this.
No,
Okay.
that's, Tim is the one that sent that to
When
us.
did
Oh,
Kim
I'm sorry.
send
I'm
it?
looking at that. I'm
It
looking
looks
at
like it
that,
came through
right,
The general mailbox in the office.
right, yep.
Right, the original email was sent to our info box, and I guess he CC'd himself and whoever Ken is.
All right, so the board actually probably didn't, well, at least I haven't seen this email yet. So that's only thing I'm concerned about is has anybody replied to him with the
Yeah.
information he's asking?
I don't know if anyone's replied. I can ask him in the morning.
When
Okay.
did Kim send it, Joe? When did you get it?
Well, it was sent out with the email that Ken sent out at about 4 o'clock today.
Okay, well, I haven't.
Oh, I
seen
haven't
it
even
yet.
seen my emails today.
Oh, today? I didn't even get anything from Kim today. I got something from her yesterday about this meeting.
3:54 it came. I just now saw it. It came 3:54 today.
Okay, let me check something real quick.
So I think we can safely say no member of the board has replied.
Okay, who feels like doing that? Because he deserves to be, he deserves an answer.
I need to read this. What?
I need to read it big so I can see what it says.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So he's asking us to tell what the process is here? Trying to see this.
Yeah, oh, well. He said he can't make tonight's meeting because that's just because he's out putting signs out, but
Well, he's not supposed to be putting them out till the 10th. Today's the 10th.
Today's the 10th.
Today is the 10th.
oh, he sent this on the 24th.
It came in too late on the 24th to be included.
Okay. But I don't recall seeing it before now then, but I think by our discussion that it doesn't sound like any of us has replied back to,
No, and I would need to read it in order to know how to reply to this. I can't see it on the screen here.
yeah, I mean.
So this is all in our personal emails now from you, so that we'll be able to read it tonight, right?
Kim sent it to everybody, yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
good. Unfortunately, I can't see my personal emails at the office. And I got home literally at 6:30, so I haven't had a chance to check my emails.
Okay, well, we should be good though. I mean, if Susan, if you want to reply to that after,
I definitely don't want to reply to this without sending it to everybody to make sure that I'm replying properly. Again, I don't know what's in this, so I would have to send it to everybody for your approval before sending it out to him. Is that okay? I mean,
well, I trust you to make because you can't see it, and I can a little bit. It sounds like most of the questions he is asking are actually policy, and it's just a matter of whatever the policy is. But Diane mentioned that she brings the ballot box, and that was one of his questions. And you could probably actually just refer him to, let me see here. Maybe Dan knows off the top of his head.
Yeah, it's chapter 78 of the city code. I mean, the procedure is kind of laid out there for
Exactly.
handling absentee ballots. And, there's several steps to the process, but I don't think we need to go through that right now. I think all we need to do is refer them to chapter 78 and let them read it. That way there's no misinterpretation.
Yep. With the only addendum being that absentee ballot requirements are going to be less restrictive here.
Yeah.
Okay, let me take a look at it and then I'll take a look also at the section that he needs to refer to.
Yeah, and if you need help, Diane can always do that.
I don't hear her saying anything. Okay.
All right then. Anything else that we need to discuss?
No,
Going once, going twice? Okay. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Well, do we
motion
take,
to adjourn.
before you do that, do you take public comment, or I don't know if there's anybody
Oh,
with questions?
Good point, because I don't know whether we even have public in attendance. That's one of the things I was going to actually bring up tonight, but I forgot. So, oh, Marika would know that, right?
Yep,
Marika,
there's actually no one that's in attendance.
Makes it easy.
that makes it easy then. Yeah, I meant to ask that before we got started, but, okay, well then, if, since there's no other business, is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Seconded.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All right.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good
Thank you very
night.
much.
Aye.
Good
Thank
night.
you.
Thank you.
We're almost there. Have a good night and we'll see you in about 2 weeks again.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Oh, and actually I'll be in touch with you, Susan, and Joe.
You want to, you have my phone number, so you can always call
Yes.
me, right?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Great.
And whatever information I gather, I'll make sure that I'll send it out to the proper channel.
Perfect.
And
Thanks
let
so
me know
much.
If you need me to look at the voters registration.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Once we have it figured out whether we can do all this electronically or not, I will definitely, between you and Bob and whoever, we'll make sure we get it all hammered out. I'm trying to make it easier, but I think Susan was going to call Marion and.
Yeah, I think what I'm going to do is right now I'm going to text her. Again, I don't know how busy she is, but I'm going to just say, are you available to speak now? If not, is there a good time tomorrow morning for us to speak? I have some questions. And then I'll let you all know what she says.
Perfect.
Great. That's great, Susan. Thank you.
Thank you.
And then once we have our 10 people, we'll be able to, nail some more things down. So,
Good.
all right, guys.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank-
All right, we'll see you soon.
Okay. Bye-bye.
All right.